I need for them to test this thing. I need for them to test this for me.
Can you please come to the dais, please? Rod.
Good afternoon. I would like to call the meeting of the San Bernardino Community College Board of Trustees. And if I could have our student trustee lead us on the Pledge of Allegiance. And to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty. Thank you. The next item on our agenda is public comment on agenda and non-agenda items. I have received several slips of people who wish to speak, and the San Bernardino Community College Board of Trustees offers an opportunity for the public to address the board on any agenda item prior to or during the board's consideration of that item. Comments are limited to 5 minutes per speaker and 20 minutes per topic. If there's more than one speaker, at the conclusion of public comment, the board may ask staff to review a matter or may ask that a matter be put on a future agenda. As a matter of law, members of the board may not discuss or take action on matters raised during public comment unless the matters are properly noticed for discussion or action in open session. Anyone who requires a disability-related modification or accommodation in order to participate in the public meeting should contact the Chancellor's office far in advance of the board meeting. So we will go directly to public comment, and the first one is Joelle Walters.
Hi, thank you so much for allowing us to take a couple of minutes to spend with you guys. This is really the only way I know how to appropriately let you guys know as a parent my extreme frustration. Yet again, my kid is doing college from my dining room table, falling asleep, trying her best to stay awake, and here she is doing her college on the computer. I'm extremely frustrated. You guys all know that for decades, at least 80,000 recorded people per year have died from influenza A, and we've not shut down. We're 3 years into this, and we're still, even at Delta, we didn't shut down. But yet, for this most recent one, we shut down again, and how many times are we going to keep doing this? We're 3 years into this. We have way more information now than we did. We know that the part that frustrates me the most, guys, is that even with all of this stuff, we're making decisions based off of a PCR test that was announced back in July on the CDC website, that they're no longer going to do it anymore because the PCR test can't differentiate between influenza, yeast, bacteria, COVID. It can't differentiate between all that. So if you've got any of those little particles, which we have 3 billion of those particles, while we're healthy, in and on our body at all times, it cannot differentiate between those particles. So we're getting false positives all the time over a test that we've known since July is going to be pulled off, but yet we're not going to get it until May or June. But yet we're still going off of all the old tests. At what point in time do we get to move on? You know, I've done a lot of research. I spent a lot of time because that's the only way that's kept me sane through all this. You know, there have been many times I've had to scratch my head through all of this stuff. And I've done some pretty significant amount of research. And guys, I have to tell you that the thing that I'm most upset about is while my daughter is busy going to school, your teachers are busy shaming her for not being vaccinated. That's the part that probably upsets me the most. I could sit here and spend a whole lot of time spewing off a whole lot of data that you guys probably don't get because somebody's giving you a whole bunch of data from the CDC and the FDA and everything else like that, and some of it's accurate and some of it is just informational stuff that is unfortunately not completely accurate. But the part that makes me the most upset is that daily I listen to my kid from her online class get bullied and shamed because she's unvaccinated. You guys are busy requiring a vaccination that is still under EUA. You cannot get the FDA-approved vaccination in this country. Go to the website, the CDC website, look it up. You can't even order it. So you guys are busy requiring mandates of a vaccination that is still under EUA, which you can't do. You can't do it. And I really hope when I submit my daughter's, because she's not getting vaccinated, she's got natural immunity, which is stronger than any vaccination that you can get. And because of that, and because of the fact that the vaccination is still under EUA, I am not putting any of that into my daughter until I get a point till I know maybe 8 years down the road, we've got some lengthy studies that tell me it's safe. But at this point in time, I'm not doing any of that. I sure as hope that you guys end up bringing a way to make sure that since you are going to require her to submit testing, I guess, showing that she's not positive for COVID, which anybody that's healthy, why are we testing? If you don't have, there's no such thing as an asymptomatic transmission. It's been debunked. But if you guys are going to require testing, please make sure that you are requiring a saliva test so that I don't have to stuff up ethylene oxide up her nose weekly after week after week after week. Unless you can bring me a whole bunch of clinical trials that are peer-reviewed that shows me that's safe, I'm not signing off on it. So I'm really, really, really asking you guys to let's how much longer do we have to do this, guys? We're 3 years into it. Let's use it. And I understand. I know. You guys have got lots of federal funding holding everybody hostage because of the federal funding that you guys have accepted to make sure that we have all kinds of COVID things in there. Let's hope we use the money for some good things, but I sure as heck hope that we don't continue to stay stuck in a whole bunch of stuff that is not accurate. So, as you can see, I'm extremely frustrated and I want my kid back on campus. I don't want to have to stuff up her nose ethylene oxide every 3 dang days. And I'm not going to get her vaccinated. And you can't force her to get vaccinated. It is still under EUA. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Casey Walters.
I was so excited to start this semester because I thought it was going to be my last semester on campus. I was excited to walk in on my first day dressed up all nice for my first day of my associate's degree. And then come to find out it's online. It made me sad. It makes me even more sad to know that graduation might not be in person either. Not only are my classes online and I'm bored sitting at the same chair, not being able to sit comfortably, but I get to hear my teacher rant about COVID and shame people who are not vaccinated because she has nothing else to talk about, because she can't interact with the classes in person, which is what she is known for doing. Don't get me wrong, I absolutely love this teacher. She's one of my favorite ones, and I've had her for 2 years now, and she makes the class fun, but it is very hard to focus when all she tells us is get vaccinated, don't go out. If you're not getting vaccinated, you're not taking care of yourself. And if you are not vaccinated, you are the reason we are at risk. I am not getting vaccinated because I have natural immunity. I am more safe than people who have been vaccinated. And according to most recent clinical trials that are peer-reviewed, natural immunity is even safer than being vaccinated. I'm not going to get vaccinated by something that is still under emergency use and has no long-term studies. I'm here to ask you to get your teachers under control and to stop shaming me and to get us back onto campus as soon as possible so I can actually walk out of college graduation. Thank you.
Thank you. Blue Foundation.
Good afternoon, everybody. So, my name is Sean Zabayos, and these are my colleagues here. This is Angie Ocampo, Mason Audette. We have Ijlani, and we also have Matt Nevins. And we are the inaugural class that was selected to represent Crafton Hills and the Guided Pathways Leadership Institute that's presented by the Blue Foundation. As members, we're being taught leadership skills and tasked with creating an advocacy project that's centered around improving the student experience. As students, we understand what it feels like to be underrepresented and therefore are specifically focusing on increasing student feedback this semester. As a group, we've spent months working to formalize the student feedback process by the fall of 2022. We're collaborating with the Student Senate to create a standing student survey committee in the organization's bylaws. We have also met and confirmed partnerships with the EOPS, the DSPS, the Honors Institute, and we're still pending with the athletics. And with that, I'll pass it to my colleague, Angie.
So our goal is to create a mechanism, to create a mechanism for any group on campus requesting student feedback in order to share with the Student Senate, such as a student satisfaction survey, changes to the Guided Pathways platform, and many more stuff. So the Student Senate will send survey links to confirmed partners, providing general information about survey importance to department heads, and ensure that student voices in these various populations are represented. And we will be meeting with Dr. Gio Sosa, the Director of Research and Planning, in early March to pilot this process with the spring of 2022 Student Satisfaction Survey. And the goal is to improve response rates, reach a broad, diverse student base, and still maintain anonymity to ensure that responses reflect the student base accurately. And we will happily return to update you as we receive the results from the Student Satisfaction Survey. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Cassandra Thomas.
Just curious to know if you guys intend to hold us to the 20 minutes?
Yes.
Then I will yield my time.
Andrew Graham.
Good evening, Board of Trustees. My name is Andrew Graham, and I'm here today on behalf of CSEA Chapter 535 from the Riverside Community College District. We're here to support the hardworking classified professionals who are asking for something that, quite frankly, shouldn't be a point of contention. Equity, access, support. We echo these sentiments when representing our student populations and the people we serve as community college employees. Yet we're here having a discussion about COLA during a pandemic that has caused inflation, loss of jobs and livelihood, and even lives. What more do you want your employees to go through? Through COVID, we have worked, putting ourselves in the front lines and facing many uncertainties. Some of us didn't receive hazard pay, others got sick. Some retired early, others didn't make it. So when the state addresses cost of living adjustments in direct relation to this pandemic, the rising cost of food and resources, do you really feel comfortable not giving that to those who have sacrificed, to their families? This pandemic is a defining moment for many people. For many in leadership, choices made now will not only affect personal and professional legacy, but the morale and reputation of this district moving forward. Do the right thing. Our district didn't hesitate to give us the super COLA for this year, and we're guaranteed COLA for the next 3 years in our contracts. That money is for cost of living adjustments, and we hope that you appeal to the situation of your fellow employees, the people you lead when making that decision. 535 stands in solidarity with Chapter 291. Many of our immediate families, our coworkers and friends, call San Bernardino County and their community their home. And suffice to say, I'm just the messenger. But we will continue our support in the coming weeks and months until a resolution is made. We are united in providing our voice, and we're notorious for voicing our beliefs in the community and at the polls. Thank you.
Thank you. Noah Singlet?
Snyder.
Hello, good afternoon. Chair Mrs. Harrison, Chancellor Rodriguez, members of the board. My name is Noah Snyder, and I'm a labor relations representative with the California School Employees Association. I'm brand new to this district, serving as labor relations representative. And I'm here to inform you, as I'm sure you're already aware of, we have been engaged in negotiations for the 2020 to 2023 successor agreement for almost 2 years at this point. And since negotiations began, we have tentatively agreed to 15 of 17 articles opened by both parties. The only remaining articles still open to this point are Article 7, pay and allowances, and Article 25, completion of meet and negotiations, which is basically a formality at the end of negotiations. As I've not been at the table for the vast majority of these negotiations, I have been informed by the CSEA negotiations team that the district has been working on gathering information pertaining to the subject of an on-salary schedule raise for over 4 months now. While I do respect the working relationship between CSEA and the district's Human Resources Department, our members can no longer wait for us to move to settle this contract and provide a fair on-salary schedule raise that will hopefully, in part, abate the rising cost of living, inflation, CPI, etc. By all accounts, this district should have budgeted to provide the super COLA of a 5.07% to the classified bargaining unit. Now is the time to increase wages across the board. Now is the time to ensure that our members are not making patently less than they were making in previous years due to inflation. Now is the time to ensure harmonious labor relations and labor peace for the duration of the contract. Thank you.
Thank you. Vivian Marcus?
So this is my topic, and good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for allowing me to speak. I appreciate it greatly. I really do. This is our freedoms that so many have fought and died for. Now, I was listening to National Public Radio this morning. I listen to it all the time. There was a blip on National Public Radio about prices Price rises in the U.S. accelerated by more than expected last month, pushing annual inflation up to 7.5%, the highest since 1982. I decided to do some more research on it, and I saw even on the BBC World News, which I did print, BBC World News, they were addressing the same topic. I don't understand why individuals, staff working at San Bernardino College, Crafton Hills College, and the district are denied a wage that would permit them to live decently without struggling and would not have to worry about struggling for financial situations. Here's a little part of, I'm going to read to you from this article from the BBC World News addressing the United States of America cost of living that rose, that's the highest since 1982, 40 years ago. Okay, you have to worry about what I am going to buy. This is an individual talking on this particular topic, not me. What I am not going to buy, can I do without this for a while, she said. She has been delaying clothing purchases, clipping coupons, and taking other steps in an effort to make her money to go further. Father. And it's a shame that individuals have to do this. It's a shame. And I hope you will really consider that we should be permitted a cost of living. I hope you will consider that and how fair that should be to the staff, the classified, and all those who support you, support the students, support Semi Valley College, support Crafton Hills College. Thank you so much for your time. I truly appreciate it. I really, really do. Thank you.
Thank you. And I think that's all the speakers I have. That's all the cards I have? Yes? Okay. All right. Then we will continue with the next item on the agenda. We have presentations, and I would ask Betsy Starbuck to the podium to give the Citizens Bond Oversight Report. You're not Betsy.
Darn.
I welcome to the podium Don Averill. Thank you.
Well, good evening. I'm Don Averill. I am the Vice Chancellor and Senior Citizen Representative, Vice Chairman, and the Senior Citizen Representative for the Citizens Bond Oversight Committee of the San Bernardino Community College District. Following each fiscal year, no later than March 31st, the committee presents an annual written report to the board, which includes the following: a statement of compliance and a summary of the committee's activities for the preceding year. Furthermore, the report details highlights from the San Bernardino Community College District Bond Program. The Citizens Oversight Committee member roster, meeting summaries, membership opportunities, and expenditures for the Measure M and Measure CC project for the fiscal year ending in June 30, 2021. That report is being submitted to you tonight, and I thank you for accepting it from the representative today.
Thank you very much. Former Chancellor.
Thank you.
Chancellor Emeritus.
Chancellor Emeritus, correct.
I would ask Farah Fawcett and Mike Strong come for a presentation on a facilities update.
Trustees, Chancellor, Vice Chancellor, Executive Vice Chancellor, and the Presidents, thank you very much for providing us an opportunity to give you an update on a high-level update of the projects and the status of Measure CC Bond Program. Thanks to the support from the Board of Trustees and the public community, we've been working on facilities improvement through the Measure CC Bond Program in order to build more modern, innovative environment for our students. Today, after a brief overview, my strong is going to share with you what is happening at Crafton Hills College, and I will provide you an update about Valley College and also share with you some of the project status on our sustainable projects. Well, there is a lot happening with Measure CC. To just give you an idea of the size of the program, there are 19 projects on the board priority list. There are 19 projects. In those 19 projects, there are 2 projects that are infrastructure. Within those infrastructure projects at Crafton Hills College and at Valley College, there are 22 identified infrastructure projects at Crafton Hills College and 11 at Valley College with 10 more in planning. So there's a total of 43 infrastructure projects plus the major projects. So we're managing 60 projects. So the size is large. But right now we have 23 active projects at various stages. 18 projects are currently in design and in bidding phase. What that means is that we have a lot of our projects that have completed planning and design and rolling into construction. So there'll be a lot of activities coming up on campuses very soon. There are 6 projects right now going through the construction contracts and are scheduled to be awarded in the next 6 months. We have another 4 by the end of summer, which includes the technical building and Crafton Hills Child Development Center. And it shows that there are 2 projects in DSA. There are actually 5 by now. When this PowerPoint was prepared, there were 2 at DSA. By now, there are 5. We have 2 more projects that went at the DSA intake phase, and 1 moved from intake to a review phase. And then we have 3 projects in construction. If you look at the bottom left, you have that. If you look at the blue box in the bottom left, I want to point out and commend the team in their efforts to support BP 6610. Thanks to UNES and all of Measure CC team, 62% of contracts have gone to local firms, and BP 6610, I believe, sets the goal to 25%, so we have exceeded that. 66% of payments have gone to local workforce, and BP 6610 shows that at 50%. The team has maintained a program-wide construction change order percentage at 1.6%, and I know Trustee Harrison really cares about that, so we're at 1.6%, well below the goal of 5%. Although there is still a lot of work to be done, but I think this shows you that we are off to a great start, and these positive numbers are very good indicators. Mike?
Thanks, Farah. I want you to step back for a second, back 5 years ago in 2017. So today we're implementing a facility master plan. Can I take this off while I'm talking? Does that make it a little easier for me here? We're implementing a facility master plan that started back in 2017.
Yeah.
Something happened at Crafton. We went and we submitted our Performing Arts Center project to DSA to have some preliminary conversations about. And because the cost to renovate was 50% more than the cost to replace, DSA would not approve that project moving forward. So it created a challenge for us. Actually, I think we've turned into some great opportunities at Crafton. Dr. Hand's leadership, when he came in 2019, is that what it was? 2019, caused us to think a little bit deeper about what the facilities can do for the culture of the campus. And so what I want to share with you briefly is just a little bit about what's gone on at Crafton, pre-COVID and through COVID, to get us kind of where we're at today, and then share with you where we're at with our facilities projects. So we made some changes, and those changes created some opportunities, and this facility master plan addendum. So we've created a slight change to that facility master plan in 2017 that memorializes these opportunities that I'm going to show you. So thinking about what a facility master plan is, it's really the cart, and the educational master plan is the horse. So it's pulling the cart along. What we want to do is align that facilities master plan with our institutional planning that's happened as part of our educational master plan. So this addendum is an effort to do that because of that Performing Arts Center hiccup that we had. So really and this is just a quote from the facilities master plan to show how these plans align, and we want to keep them that way. So that's the purpose of sharing part of this addendum with you today. Let me give you a few highlights of what we've achieved and the opportunities that we've achieved through some really robust collegial effort at Crafton Hills. One is that it's going to produce no net increase to our square footage, which is important for the operational budget at Crafton going forward for the next 50 years of Crafton's history. The other one is that it reflects changes caused by the required rebuild of the Performing Arts Center. I already mentioned that purpose. It's going to create larger classrooms to increase efficiencies. I wish Dr. Singer were here to hear that, because he hammered home and emblazoned on our heads that we need to increase efficiencies across the campus, and he did it every board meeting. So, Dr. Singer, wherever you are, hey, we're doing it. It's going to waste no funding on swing space, meaning that we won't have to temporarily house any of our departments during construction. It'll also enhance life at the center of our campus, and I'll show you how we're going to do that as I get into this a little bit. It's going to allow for future expansion of parking, which always seems to be a challenge at both campuses. And it also plans for the expansion of athletics. And lastly, and real important, is we're progressing towards a goal of zero net energy on the campus. So how did we get here? I want to just tout our shared governance procedure. We've got engaged Senate leaders that have been really instrumental through this process. It started back in the spring and fall of 2019. That's when we discovered the Performing Arts Center opportunity, and created a little bit of a spiral on what we needed to do. So we said, all right, let's reprioritize our projects that we have slated for Measure CC. What's most important to the campus? And why are they most important? So we looked at the educational master plan, strategic directions and goals, and then we said, how are those goals then met by these projects we have planned in Measure CC? And then we prioritized them. And that drove the reprioritization of those projects, which then we had some discussions and maybe a little bit of arm wrestling over the funding that Measure CC provided. And then COVID happened. And things it seemed to, well, we refocused our efforts for a little while. But we continued on the process. And in spring 2021, we memorialized all that prior effort in the Facility Master Plan Addendum with the help of HMC architects. And so that's the addendum that's going to be finalized here so that we can move forward and show, for accreditation purposes, how our institutional planning is driving our facility planning. And then today, we're talking and sharing this facility master plan. So a few of the projects, and this is just a few of the projects from the facility master plan. I'm only going to share with you the ones that changed, because not all of them changed. So performing arts, obviously it changed because we're not going to renovate, we're going to build a new one. But the opportunity that created is that right there on the main thoroughfare of campus, the new Performing Arts Center, it shows it a little bit in that map right here, is the main thoroughfare of the campus. We will rebuild the Performing Arts Center in place of where the old gymnasium was, if you remember where that's at on campus. It'll be at that gateway, it'll be close to parking for community events. That'll be convenient. And also, it will not require any interim housing during construction. That project currently is one of those projects at DSA that Farrah's talking about. And we look forward to starting that one towards the end of this calendar year. Hopefully you'll be involved in that one. So kinesiology, athletics, there was an update to this. Unfortunately, this is not funded as part of Measure CC. As far as the campus priorities and the educational master plan, it was right below the funding line, and we just couldn't quite get it. Hopefully, maybe we will soon. But we've relocated the gym, future gym location slightly. It was planned closer to the, right adjacent to the kinesiology allied health complex right here. But to be able to provide a collegiate-sized soccer field, we needed a little bit more width. In order to do so, it kicked the gym a little further to the north, and it created an opportunity for us to potentially have a collegiate-sized soccer field in the future. Crafton Hall renovation. In the prior master plan in 2017, it designed this building to become our space for visual arts. However, with the opportunity, with the new instructional building that'll be built in place of the Performing Arts Center, arts can go in there, and this can help fill a need for community events as well as conference space. So that one got changed, the use got changed slightly. Here's the new instructional building, really exciting project. This is the one that's going to create that student energy at the center of campus. So it'll be built in place of the old Performing Arts Center. So once the new Performing Arts is built across the street, then we will raise the old Performing Arts Center and build the instructional building in its place. The purpose of this, it will create some needed student gathering space on campus. It will also house our visual arts and an art gallery. It'll create some active learning classrooms, and it will also allow us to centralize tutoring. And part of that will repurpose some of the other places on campus and create some of those larger classrooms I was talking about earlier. So this is a really exciting project, and we're getting ready to start discussions with our progressive design build team on this one. And then that'll continue throughout the year, and then it'll go to DSA, and we'll be into construction after the Performing Arts Center is completed. The Central Complex 2 renovation, this gives an opportunity to improve some of our earth science areas for geology, anthropology, as well as physical science, or physics. And so it'll update some labs that are much needed. This is a 1970s vintage original building on well, it's close to original building on the campus. And and then expand some active learning classrooms in the first floor. So here's an exciting project. Farah and her team have been instrumental in helping us to get this one going. Shout out to Yash Patel, our sustainability manager here at the district. He's done a lot of research on how this can benefit us with upgrading our solar farm. Right now, our solar farm, we've benefited from it since it's been built. We benefited because we got a California Solar Initiative grant that paid us money every year based on our production. It has also benefited us by taking money off the operational budget. So it continues to produce electricity for us. But with the new technology, we can produce 97% of the electricity for the entire campus. That takes these bond dollars and converts them to operational dollars in the tune of about $500,000. And that's perpetual every year. So we're really excited about this project. It helps us get closer to that zero net energy goal. And there's some changes with Edison that's happening at the end of this year. The solar project the initial solar project, locked us into Edison's rates for 10 years. That expires December 2022. So if we don't do something, then our potential cost for electricity would go up by 45% because of their change in the way they're doing peak pricing. But this solar, as well as battery storage that's going to be a part of it, will allow us to avoid that price increase, and then, again, operational savings for years to come so we can put that money into the classroom. So just a quick summary. I've highlighted most of these, but there's a few that I didn't. I want to mention this one because Public Safety Training Center, it's currently in design. We're also looking to break ground on this one at the end of the calendar year, first of next year. So that's going to be fun to have you guys out there to do perhaps a groundbreaking for that. We're also looking at some infrastructure projects, this accessibility site improvement project, security upgrades on the campus that have been a priority for us for a long time. So this gives you a high-level overview. Come visit us at Crafton. We'd be happy to show you around and see all the exciting things that are happening. But thank you for your support of Measure CC and for the college. And then with that, I know Farrah's going to give you a highlight of Valley College.
Thank you very much, Mike.
Thanks.
Yeah, So the theme continues, efficiency. We have been very deliberate.
We have a question. We have a question.
Sorry.
I'm sorry if I missed it. Did you say what the something was? Because I know the rate is going to expire, and then they're also proposing to change the solar subsidy. did you say what the something was? Because you said we got to do something.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe I did say something. Kevin, did you hear what I said? I don't know. It's
Like
already
how,
gone.
like,
We are
to avoid the
doing
45% increase, like what, because like folks are proposing that the subsidy for solar is going to change, and then you said the rates were expiring. So what are we, like, how are we going to prevent the
So,
electric bill from increasing?
Okay, I got it.
so what Vice President Strong was reiterating with Ferris team's help is that in preparation for that, we will experience a rate increase, which will be a cost increase. We are upgrading our solar farm, which will create new revenues of $500,000 a year in energy savings because of the change in the technology and the efficiency in the solar system itself. So when the new solar field goes live, we will begin again to have energy savings which expire December of 22.
Is that a new, is that a new contract, or does it balance out with the new technology and the increase in costs?
I'm going to defer to Farah to answer the
Yeah, we're
logistics
going
of
to
that.
have to go through we are going through a new interconnection agreement with Edison. The interconnection agreement in place with the solar farm that was installed, I believe, 2012, is expiring in December 22. And thanks to Yosh's effort and being proactive and doing the research, and alerting,
Yeah.
raising the alarm that the rate is expiring, and we have to put in this solar project in place now before it expires, so we can make sure that we have the new system going.
But Edison is proposing to reduce the incentive that commercial solar folks have. How will that impact us? They're like proposing to significantly decrease the incentive that folks are getting now.
Well, we're not benefiting from a solar incentive
Okay.
Yeah,
from
we're not
Edison right now.
I thought we get a.
We did for 5
Don't
years.
we get a check from them?
For the first 5 years of the farm, we did.
Yeah.
But that expired. And then we went into our special rate. It's another interconnection
TOU,
agreement. Yeah, no, it's
the time of-
RSBCT agreement.
Oh, okay.
So there's some technicalities to it, but it expired, several years ago, and now we're not getting benefit from the
Wow.
California Solar Initiative anymore.
Okay. So it's just straight. We just generate. So the energy that we put back to the grid, we don't get paid for that.
We do. What it does is it offsets use here at the district office, it
And at
offsets
the
anywhere
valley.
else. But, it's only it'll put some back in the grid in the summer months, but in the winter months,
Okay, so you don't rely on that at all.
Yeah, we don't rely on that at all.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And this is going to be coupled with battery storage, so we're going to stay off grid. We're going to be zero net.
And that's how it's really going to benefit us, because when we produce the energy or the electricity through the day, it'll store in the batteries, and then as soon as the sun goes down, it's going to draw off those batteries. Because Edison's time of use, all of our electricity for all our homes and everything is going up because the time of use rate changed from 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. rather than the middle of the day, which was 12 to 4. So that's where it's changing. And so Yash was savvy and he picked up on that. And so that all changes and comes into play next January. So our goal is to get this solar project done right before that expires, so that we can turn this new solar farm on and avoid all of that.
So continuing on the planning and design phase for Measure CC, we have been deliberate, we have been intentional. We want to make sure that we build buildings and facilities for our students that not only thrills them, but it does not burden the campus with additional operation costs. So all of our buildings are going to be zero net energy ready, so that when the solars come in, when the renewable energy is installed, then there is no additional energy costs. They're going to be efficient with water. We are going to be efficient with all of our resources. And the board of trustees has also approved the new delivery method, design build, progressive design build. And we are implementing all of those and reaping the benefit of both faster delivery and more efficient, more collaboration. I'm going to give you a couple of those examples right now. Starting with technical building, the jewel of Valley College, as far as the projects, of course. So we'll start with basically this innovative and award-winning design of this building has already been recognized by the American Institute of Architects, the San Diego Green Building Council, the California Higher Education Sustainability Conference, and most recently, the U.S. Green Building. The project was designed to be a focal point of the campus and provide a cutting-edge facility for our CTE programs with the flexibility and adaptability to stay current with advancing technologies in the industry in order to prepare our students for their real-world jobs. This was the first major project to kick off Valley College Bond Program. After successfully completing the design and securing DSA and state approvals, we have entered the construction procurement phase for this project. The Measured CC team has developed and implemented a pre-qualification process that will definitely be intent. We know it's going to increase the interest of reputable, high-caliber contractors and also encourage local hire participation. The pre-qualification process involves extensive outreach efforts to encourage contractors, and it's going to close March 8th. Following the pre-qualification process, the project will go out to bid for pre-qualified vendors, and the low bidder will be presented to the board. Once the board approves the low bidder, we have to take it to the State Chancellor's office for approval. Then we are anticipating start of construction sometimes around August 2022, depending on how long it would take the state to approve the project. But we will be on track to open the building for instruction fall of 2024. Now, the team has spent about 6 months on research, programming, and other pre-construction activities for the new student service building. Design criteria is now complete. This will be a hub on campus for all the students. It will be a single home base where we can where all the services currently scattered across the campus, such as financial aid, admission, counseling, tutoring, veteran services, athletic support, health services, and much more, they will be all put together in one central accessible location on campus. This project has also provided such an opportunity where, as the district can explore public-private partnership. We are doing an analysis right now to see if this would be a feasible option for the district to pursue. The Career Pathway 2 is our very first progressive design build project. We are very excited about it. The project has been awarded. We're going through the design phase right now. It's going to be a center for a new allied health building for nursing and other medical certification program, and a new aeronautics building and yard. And we are also going to be repurposing the east wing to expand the welding program and demolition of the existing tech building and replacing the lot with parking and charging stations and solar canopies. The design builder has already started conceptual design and is currently performing the program validation. As of a meeting we had yesterday, I expect the design phase, the schematic design phase, to be completed at 100% by the 25th of this month. And we anticipate the construction will begin next year. The softball field. Valley softball field will be the first women's athletic facility in the district, and it will change the face of the northeast corner of the campus. The synthetic turf field has a cooling technology for a sustainable NCAA regulation size field. The construction duration is only 9 months, so I'm hoping one of the board members would kick off the first ceremonial pitch to signal the start of the season, or the chancellor. This is the part of the infrastructure projects that I was talking to you about, a total of 43 in both campuses. At Valley, we're working right now on 7 of the 20 anticipated infrastructure projects at Valley College. The roofing project is in construction to replace and restore the roofs over the planetarium, child development center, and M&O facilities, utility upgrades, mechanical replacement for the planetarium, gym lobby flooring, design, and we're doing site investigation have all been completed. We're looking forward to getting those started to construction, and we're starting the bidding packages. We are also working with architects and engineers to complete the design for ventilation upgrades in the science building and improvement to the business quad. We are also preparing for upcoming projects over the next few years, including repurposing of the admin and campus center, health life sciences, physical science building, and M&O warehouses. We're working on EV charging station, parking lot improvement, campus-wide extrascaping, and irrigation controls to reduce water usage, and campus-wide solar implementation. Now my pride and joy. At the technical building, the design of our building is intended to serve as a living laboratory, maximizing environmental stewardship. With the combination of cutting-edge technology and sustainable features, we are really happy to announce the technical building is currently tracking LEED Platinum. It's a technical building. It's an energy hog, and it's going to be LEED Platinum, zero net energy. No wonder it's a phenomenon and it keeps getting awards. And the Crafton Hills College Performing Arts Center is also tracking. When this PowerPoint was prepared, it was tracking LEED Gold. As of yesterday, it's tracking LEED Platinum. I'm so proud of the team. But it's tracking LEED Gold. It's going to be a zero net energy ready building. And this project is also going to be LEED Zero. That's the first ever. So within a LEED Zero environment, you have to track the operation for about 12 months after occupancy and prove that it is zero net. And then you will get LEED Zero. So as far as sustainable projects, this is a list of some of the work we're doing, starting with extrascaping that I mentioned before. We plan to convert the existing landscape to low flow or no water, the low water or no water plantation to reduce water consumption. We are upgrading our central plant controls to keep up with the advancement in technology. The control system is the heart of the central plant, and the central plant is the largest energy use for the campus. So if we make it more efficient, it will substantially reduce our operational costs. Also, the development of solar and battery storage projects is on the way for Crafton and Valley College new buildings. Other projects include exterior lighting controls upgrade, smart irrigation controls, building level submetering, because if you can't have building level submetering, you can't assess the energy use of the building. And we are trying to submeter as many buildings as we can so we can control the energy consumption of that building. And then obviously the cooling tower upgrade that also is very much necessary. This concludes our presentation. I want to thank the trustees, Chancellor, Vice Chancellor, Executive Vice Chancellor, and the President for this time.
Are there any questions? John?
Yes, I appreciate it.
Use your mic.
Take my mask off while I talk. I appreciate all of the intense effort to look ahead at what possible things may occur in the future that could affect, that could be affected rather by these decisions we're making today, and to really try and anticipate various sorts of changes that may be coming. And I can see that reflected. Obviously, the energy stuff is the huge amount, but there's various aspects of it, and I'm very appreciative that it looks like staff is really doing a very good job of that in this at both schools. And the one thing I'd like to just kind of focus on a tiny bit is I have been paying a lot of attention on transportation issues for my whole career. That's been a major part of my work for decades. And signs are appearing among transportation-focused people that the use of the personal automobile is declining. Most folks haven't really noticed it yet, but it actually is declining a bit. And in fact, fewer young people are getting driver's licenses than used to be the case. And I think we need to anticipate the possibility that we may need to make sure we're better accessible for public transit in the future if in fact it becomes more heavily used. which particularly at Valley, I think the potential for significant increases in public transit are large. Crafton, maybe not as much, but still there may be something. So I just want to put a word in to keep an eye on that.
Yes.
As we're planning for more and more parking, that there's a possibility that may not be entirely what we need, and just one more thing to keep in the mix.
Absolutely, trustee.
Yeah, good point. Thank you.
And transportation is part of what we are reviewing under the Sustainability Plan 2022. Is one of the scopes to become carbon neutral. We are looking at that. In fact, we had our Facility Advisory Committee meeting just, I think, yesterday. And that's part of the discussion. We started reviewing the the district-wide sustainability plan. And we will be discussing that with the constituent group that's in that committee.
Trustee Williams.
Yeah, and my comment is for the chancellor and trustees. If there are no objections, I'd like to ask that we get advisement from the Senate on, as we, create all of these buildings with this advanced technology, what are the curricula impacts? Are students going to have the opportunity to learn about LEED certification and learn about sustainability and just have the opportunity to earn certificates and degrees in these fields? Because it's cool that we build all of this stuff, but if the people in the community don't get a chance to learn about it, then the adoption is not as high, because we also need the surrounding neighborhoods to also adopt these technologies. And so I really would like some advice from the Senate on the feasibility of us having some more certificates and degrees to where students just don't get to sit in the buildings, but they get to learn about the technology.
Yeah, good suggestion, good suggestion. I am just excited about all of this. That when we started at Crafton with the solar panels that move with the sun and all of the other things that we did, I am especially interested in your landscaping that's going to require
Extra
very little
scaping,
water
yes.
or no water. That is, obviously there must be specialists out there who are landscapers.
Yes, there are.
Specializing in that, and I'm
Yes.
curious to
Yes,
see it.
ma'am.
I like very much the landscaping that was done by the gymnasium. I mean, that is just really lush in its desert view, right? And so I'm curious to see what will happen to the rest of the campus, and at Crafton also.
Then maybe
Any other questions?
maybe we can coordinate the tour when time comes.
I'm wondering, I know one of the issues, sorry, this is going back in the presentation a bit, but I know one of the issues with the Finkelstein Performing Arts Center was that it didn't have good handicap access, and I'm wondering if you're going to be able to update that, and if so, how are you going to do that?
Yeah, good question. And you're right, it doesn't have very good handicap access. It doesn't have very good access, period. That's one of the reasons why we want to put it on the campus thoroughfare too, because it then becomes a face of the campus. And it'll be right immediate to it, and Lauren, I'd be happy to share some of this with you, is right adjacent to that building is a parking lot. So you walk right off the parking lot, right into the second floor of that building. There'll be an elevator there that could take people down to the auditorium. Or they can access from the campus quad level. So it's walk straight across the road there and into the main lobby at the same level. So it's going to be built into the topography of the campus to allow access to both levels, and you can access with the elevator. It'll be better than it is right now.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any other questions? No? Thank you so much. Right now, I'd like to take some privilege of the chair. And when we had public comment, I announced that 20 minutes were allowed for one topic. One person gave up their time for the others. So I'd like to welcome back that person, Cassandra Thomas. Cassandra, you have 5 minutes.
Well, I do have a report later, but I can I can do public comment at this point. So I'll just do a partial of my report. The first, well, should not have that on, sorry. Let me get back to my report. Sorry, you caught me off guard. So I just wanted to touch base with you to have you understand why we're here today. I only got about 5 minutes to talk about it, so I'll just give you the gist of it. I've been talking to you guys about our contract and how it needs to be wrapped up sooner rather than later. About every time I've met with you for the last few months, we have been negotiating. We have given an offer. We've given 2 offers. The offers that the district have given us have been zero COLA. When I talk to the membership about this, they can't believe it. That in a year where we have experienced some of the highest inflations, I was born in 1982, right? So in my entire lifetime, this is the most inflation that I've ever seen. And how it's affecting our members is that they can't pay their bills, right? I do realize that the COLA that we're asking for is not going to solve poverty, okay? I do realize that. But what it will do is it will at least partially restore the buying power that all of us have lost in this just one single year. I just want to give you a little bit of statistics. I did some checking some math on this, and we have 7.5%, as Vivian just announced. The worst of that being in the last few months. What that means for our members, and let me just break it down for you. So in the beginning of January 2021, you could buy $100 worth of energy. If you wanted that same amount of energy today, it would cost you $139. When we look at food, let's just look at gas. Gas is the worst. We spent $100 a year ago. We're now spending $150 on that same amount of gas. Now, as this sign suggests right here, we're not all going to feel that ripple effect the same. The people who are feeling it the most are those at the bottom of our pay scale, and that would be the classified staff. Now, we do have a full range of classified staff. I do realize that. But the bottom of the level, I think our lowest paid wage, I think, is $15.99. You can go to McDonald's and get that, right? You're not going to have good benefits, all right? But what's the motivation? How can a person pay their bills? Right now, my apartment, just me, alone. When I moved in July of 2020, my rent was $13.90 a month. If you were to move into my apartment today, it's $1,800 a month for a 650 square foot apartment in Redlands. That's our service area. You look at San Bernardino, I did some math on a house in Rialto just sold for $521,000. Our employees cannot live in our service areas, and it's getting worse and worse. California is one of the highest housing cost states. Our area is slightly lower, but it's still, by comparison to the rest of the country, very high. And when we look at a car, we were just talking about gas. You know, if you could afford an electric car, maybe electricity hasn't gone up. It's only gone up 6%. But if you're a poor person who has a gas guzzler, because that's all that they can afford, your expenses went up 50%. And you have to then choose between, am I going to put gas in my car or am I going to feed my kids? And that is the reality that we're talking about here. And I want you guys to understand that's why we're here. Those of us who are making the least amount of money are suffering. And we just had a classification study of some of the signs. Not every employee is benefiting from the classification study. Classification study was based on numbers from 2018. Our last COLA was in 2018. So for the last 4 years, we've just been sitting here, stagnant. And while my counterparts at Moreno Valley every year get their COLA. So it looks like I'm about out of time. So I will continue this during my report.
Your turn is complete.
The next item on the agenda is the approval of minutes. So I need a motion and a second before we can have any discussion.
I'll move approval.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Second. Any discussion on the minutes? Any amendments? None? Okay, then we're ready to take the vote. Student trustee? Aye. Trustees?
Aye.
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 Okay. Thank you. The minutes are approved. On the screen, we should have the celebration presentations, the applause cards. Can we have that on the screen? There, thank you. I really like it. Thank you. In spite of COVID, in spite of all of our challenges that we've been facing for these past few years, we continue to give service to our students, to each other, and support. I thank you very much. The next one is the employee anniversary recognition. We could have those up on the screen, please. Thank you to those. Thank you for your service. The next item on the agenda is our action agenda. I would like to, the first section is board policies, and these are policies for full approval. So I'm asking for a motion and a second before we can have any discussion.
Move approval.
Second.
Okay, discussion? Anybody have a question? No? Okay. All right, then I'll call for the vote. Student trustee? Aye. Trustees?
Aye.
Okay. Motion any abstentions? No, okay. So the motion carries. Section B, naming of Canyon Hall Courtyard at the Bill and Paula Auburn Courtyard at Crafton. And I would like to call your attention to the addendum that you have in front of you. The recommendation for this item should read, it is recommended the Board of Trustees approve the naming of the courtyard at the Canyon Hall building at Crafton Hills as the Bill and Paula Auburn Courtyard.
Madam Chair, I was just going to say, I will second the motion if someone who actually knows or knew the Allborns would want to make the motion.
I move to name the courtyard.
And
for
I
the
second
Allborns.
it.
So we have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion or any questions? Somebody asked, I think Trustee Longville wanted clarification.
No, I merely wanted to, let it go along. But I figure when you know someone, it's kind of a pleasure to acknowledge them. And so I wanted to let someone who actually knew the Allborns make the motion.
Okay.
And I just seconded it.
So just clarification, are we naming a courtyard or is it a building? What was the amendment?
The courtyard.
So what was the amendment?
The courtyard is at Canyon Hall.
Oh, at Canyon Hall building. Oh.
I just want to comment real quick that Bill and Paula have been great givers of themselves to the community for many, many, many decades. And very early on in the late 1970s and the 1980s, Bill was a huge and integral part of the Friends of A.K. Smiley Public Library. So I know he supports education for everyone. And they've been great donors to many causes. So this is a wonderful recognition. I will just echo Trustee Gonzalez's sentiment is that Bill and Paula have been very actively engaged with Crafton Hills College. My first year at the college as president, Bill was our alumni of the year, and if you've not had the opportunity to interact with him, he's one of the wittiest persons you'll ever meet, and they've just been fantastic supporters. I will also just add that this giving process is a new strategy that we've been employing in the Crafton Hills College Foundation, and it is specifically to recognize individuals while they are still with us, rather than posthumously. And Bill and Diane, they are both very actively with us, and it's a wonderful opportunity to recognize yet another way they've been giving to the community.
Aye.
Aye.
Besides the naming, is there going to be a plaque, like an official kind of ceremony?
Yes to both of those.
And then the next section is proposed facilities reorganization. So I need a motion and a second.
So moved, Longville.
No discussion, okay. I'll call for the question then. Student trustee? Aye. Trustees?
Aye.
No admissions? Okay, thank you. Revised date for the 2-day board retreat. Again, a motion and a second.
So moved.
Second? All right, thank you. Any discussion?
I just
I'm
want to say.
assuming that everybody agrees to the 2 dates.
I just want to say.
Trustee Williams.
Our last retreat was the best retreat that I think that we've had in terms of like dialogue, and so we got to make sure that we match that for the next 2 days. So, and so we met here. We met in this room, right? We were in this room, right? It looks so different. We met here in this room for 2 days, and just got a chance to get some professional development for ourselves, and really just dig deep into strategic planning. And so I think the team did a really good job. It was, I think, time well spent, because I was really concerned about giving up 2 days. I was like, I don't really want to do this, but I think you all did a very good job. So I super appreciate the way that it was put together, and just looking forward to the next one.
Yeah, and I want to confirm that. I too was saying, 2 days, give me a break. Do I need to sit with my colleagues for 2 days? I already know them. And so it was a wonderful, wonderful session. And we also learned a lot. And we learned an awful lot about each other. And we also learned to trust each other, which was absolutely essential. And so I'm looking forward to this new retreat. So you have, staff, you have your work cut out. It has to be great. It has to be great, okay? So student trustees? Aye. Trustees?
Aye.
Okay. No abstentions? None. Okay, thank you. The consent agenda is next, and the consent agenda is expected to be routine and non-controversial. It will be acted upon by the board at one time without discussion. Any member of the board, staff member, or citizen may request that an item be removed from this section for discussion. I would like to call your attention to the addendum and pull item 7.B2, appointment of district employees. It's on your agenda, page 127, for separate action. So who is going to pull that? I am, right? Okay. Are there any other items that need to be pulled from the agenda? So then can I have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda with the exception of the item that's been pulled?
Move, Longville.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? None at all? Okay. Student trustee? Trustees?
Aye.
Aye. So let's go back to agenda item 7.B2. Chancellor, you'll take that over?
I was under the understanding that there was a question from board members in regards to that assignment. If there are no questions, I'm happy to have it move forward.
We pulled that item because we thought there was a question. If there isn't any, no discussion, nobody has a question on that item? Okay.
Excuse me, Vice Chancellor Hannon, do you have a comment?
I'm sorry, that item was pulled because that person has rescinded employment.
Oh, okay.
Thank you so much.
All right. So we don't have to take a vote on it?
That person has rescinded
No,
their.
it's just been removed from the
Not
agenda.
to move.
All right,
There,
thank you.
I believe there are 3 people
Yeah, but
listed
it's-
on that agenda
yeah,
item,
there's-
so I will move it with the other 2, please.
All
So
right.
that would be to
All right.
remove, I don't know how to say the name, Trick Win.
Okay, all right, all right. So is there any discussion on, we were removed, there were 3 names on the item. 1 has been removed, it's no longer in being considered. All right. Student trustee? Trustees?
Aye.
All right, thank you. Can I have a motion? No. No, that's it. That's it. So let's go to reports. Yeah. So we had 2 committees that met, standing committees of the board that met today, the Legislative Committee and the Finance Committee. So we have a written report from the Legislative Committee that Trustee Bearsell will report on.
Today, the Board Legislative Committee met and we discussed 3 major items that impact, is it on?
No.
Oh, okay. That impact our college funding and advocacy efforts. First, we reviewed the governor's budget proposal for the state and for our community colleges. It's a proposal, it's not the actual budget. Second, we reviewed the new congressional, Senate, and Assembly district maps that were recently redrawn due to redistricting and who might potentially represent our colleges and community in Sacramento and Washington. And third, we reviewed our committee charge and we determined that we'll bring that forward for ratification at our next full board meeting. So looking ahead, we're going to be busy in these next couple of months, meeting with legislators and advocating for our budget and legislative priorities, both as a district team and alongside our Riverside colleagues in community college education. We look forward to another successful year of bringing more state investments to our colleges. And if I may, my caucus, upon which I serve as a member, board member, held a multi-caucus meeting this last month on the topic of student-parent support. And I'm looking forward to sharing more information with our chancellor about that. But at the event, it was very good to be able to share about what we do and report about, our parent workshops and financial aid and other services. And anyway, that's my report from legislative.
Good, thank you. Finance Committee?
Yes, before I share that, I just want to share an opportunity that I was asked to share by the Lumina Foundation. It's called the $1 Million Community College Challenge. It's a national grant opportunity to support brand building and marketing for community colleges. So if anyone is interested in checking it out, it's with the Lumina Foundation. They're going to award 9 colleges to support brand building and strategic marketing efforts They also provide technical assistance to develop actionable brand building and marketing strategies. And this is an enrollment kind of challenge thing that they're after. And so you can just Google the Lumina Foundation, the $1 Million Community College Challenge, and you'll get some information. But today, the Board Finance Committee met, my first meeting as the chair, and I'm happy to take over from our chair, Ms. Harrison, Trustee Harrison. We went over the guiding principles for the FCC auction proceeds. Annually, the board reviews the guiding principles for possible revisions and reaffirmations, and the board budget or the board finance committee revised or made suggestions to the principles. So we removed all of the references to one-time expenditure since they had already been allocated. And we also changed the language of Principle 11 from Comprehensive Master Plan to reflect the 2022 District Strategic Plan. So we took that word out, and so now it references the SBCCD Strategic Plan. The committee also reviewed and proposed changes and recommended that the item be submitted to the board. So the FCC revised principles will come to the board at the next meeting. And we also changed language to Principle 3 in the principles. We are asking, or we will be moving an item to the board to establish a PARS trust account so that we can allocate some resources to the DSO from some actions that the board took back in April of 2018. So in 2018, the board allocated $57 million in FCC auction proceeds that included $1 million one-time dollars that were allocated to the district. What's the DSO stand for again? District Service Organization? Does it? Office? Yeah. DSO. So here, 1 million was allocated to that, and so this action was already taken, and so we're just functionally fulfilling the action that the board approved. And then there was also $2 million for one-time reimbursement to the general funds for the auction expenses. So the committee is recommending that this come to the board at the next board meeting. Lastly, we had a budget update. We had a presentation on the current status of the state budget from our consultant from the state level. The state is projecting to have a $45 billion surplus. There was a lot of discussion regarding the student center formula. We also went over a few proposed funding areas, ongoing COLA. So we talked about the cost of living adjustments of 5.33%. We had a report on our enrollment. We haven't had enrollment this low since 2008, and really just looking at strategies to increase enrollment. We talked about growth of 0.5%. We talked about the part-time faculty health insurance funding that the state is going to be allocating at $200 million. And then we also talked about the Student Success Completion Grant for $100 million. At some point in time, the board will receive additional information about all of these items, and that is my report.
Thank you. Thank you. We have now the Chancellor's report.
Thank you. And just a couple of comments at the beginning. In terms of the Lumina grant, Mr. Angel Rodriguez and his team are currently looking into that grant right now to check for qualifications and how we might benefit from that. And thank you all for the comments on the retreat. We appreciate it. A lot of work went into that from the DSO staff and so on, so thank you for that. And I feel the pressure already for the next one. Before I go any further, on behalf of the district office and the Board of Trustees, I'd like to express condolences for Mr. Albert Gutierrez's loved ones and his SBVC family. Albert was a longtime employee of the district in the M&O department at Valley College. He passed away this past December, and he will be greatly, greatly missed. So please keep him in your positive thoughts and prayers, his family. Thank you. Going into the report, at our retreat, we talked about goals for the district and across the district. And the first goal was to eliminate barriers to student success and access. And one of the things that we've been working on is starting this fall, Crafton Hills College and San Bernardino Valley College will give $10,000 grants to 100 students who commit to service and volunteers in our community. And we're calling this the College Corps. Very similar to the local version of the AmeriCorps program. This will be an opportunity for our students to really immerse themselves in our community and work side by side with local organizations to tackle some of, what I would consider the most pressing challenges in our area. COVID relief, food insecurity, climate change, and closing educational gaps within our communities. Students who serve our communities for 1 year will receive $10,000 to help them pay for college and for living expenses. And I just want to publicly thank Governor Newsom, Josh Friday, the Executive Director of the California Volunteers Commission, for selecting our colleges for this opportunity. I'd also like to thank so many of our staff members who are collaborating behind the scenes to make all of this a reality for our students, and especially our very own Mariana Lopez, who will be the point person for this initiative and will help build the bridge, if you will, between our students, the colleges, and our communities. So more on that to come soon. Another goal we have is to be a diverse, equitable, inclusive, and anti-racist institution. So the HR DEIA committee for the district is working hard at aligning our campuses and our district's equity and inclusion programs, and also to understand the unique experiences of marginalized students, employees, and our community. And I just want to give special recognition to those leaders of our vested groups, Ernest Guillen, Bethany Tasaka, and Shalita Tillman, for being extremely intentional about working together, and also with our district director, Asia Brown, on addressing all of our DEIA gaps. Also, Christina Hannon. Ms. Hannon will be representing the district at the next Equity Action Network team, where leaders from Riverside and San Bernardino counties come together to create an equity continuum tool. Now, this tool is going to be designed to support regional educational institutions, right, to examine their current organizational culture and structure. And in doing so, Ms. Hannah will be able to highlight the work that's happening already around our district that is being looked upon as best practices. And that hard work from Emma Diaz, Carmen Rodriguez, and Dr. Delma Spencer. So we appreciate their work. Goal 3, to be a leader and partner in addressing regional issues. So Jose Torres has been recently asked to be a part of ACBO, the Association of Community Colleges Officers Board, Business Officers Board. Christina Hannon has been invited to join the UCR Extension Advisory Board for Women in Leadership Programs. Angel Rodriguez has been invited to be a part of the Advisory Council for the Campaign for College Opportunity. And I've been asked by the State Chancellor's Office as one of 5 CEOs to examine what it'll take to align the vision for success and the student funding formula, and how that funding will impact colleges throughout California. Now, all of these areas in which we've been invited to participate in, is because of the good work that the district is doing. We would not be invited to participate in these areas if not for the help and the support of everyone across the district. So thank you so much for all of that. Our work around the district is being noticed and it's being elevated because of the work that you all are doing. So thank you. And last night, I received an unsolicited phone call from a colleague in Santa Barbara. And when I answered the phone, they said, "Your website is incredibly awesome. It's the best I've seen." So we just want to say thank you and kudos to all of those who have been working on that. I know it was truly a heavy lift. So thank you, and folks are noticing. And finally, goal 4, ensure fiscal accountability and sustainability. I'd like to thank the board for their generosity over the past couple of years. For approving the classification study that we talked about at our last meeting with Retro that put over $2.1 million into the hands of our classified employees who absolutely deserved it. So thank you for that, and for approving one-time funding for return to work. Our employees across the district truly appreciate your support. We're currently analyzing our budget for the next few years to see how we can best use COLA funds. We're looking at ongoing expenses, retirement costs such as CalPERS and STIRS, healthcare benefits, salary adjustments, etc. And that's just a few of the areas that we are analyzing, all while keeping in mind, as we talked about just a second ago, our decreased enrollment due to the pandemic. So that is my report, and we have staff available if there are any questions on the KPIs.
Any questions on the Chancellor's report? Yes?
I just have a clarifying question on the KPIs.
Sure.
Is that what you're asking also? Hold on.
Yes.
On the Pell Grant one, that section, so that's, whatever, I just pulled it down, so I gotta get it back up again.
Dr. Crew, do you want to come to the podium to address the questions, please?
I'm sure it's me. I think we should start with that. I'm sure it's me.
Although I think you're next on the agenda.
So,
for
okay.
key performance indicators.
Right, so
Yes,
the number of unduplicated students receiving a Pell Grant by gender. I see the grids, I see all the numbers, and then on the analysis, it says the number of unduplicated students declined by 19.9% from 5,756 in 17-18 school year to 6,880 in 2020-2021. When I read that, it looks like an increase, but I'm sure it's me.
Okay,
It says it was a decline, but the numbers look like they're going up, so does the decline mean that, I don't know what that means.
Now, if you add up, can I just jump in?
Yeah.
If you add up the 19 and 20s, that adds up to the 6,000 some odd number, and they're just switched. The numbers are just switched.
Okay, I'm trying to catch up to you there. You're reading the first sentence?
I'm reading the analysis. Total number of unduplicated students receiving a Pell Grant declined by 19.9% between 2017 and 2021. But did it decline, or did it go up? It looked.
5576. Okay.
No, it declined on the chart, but the numbers that are listed are
Oh, I see.
switched.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah.
Trustee Verzo, they're switched.
It's math.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
So it declined, but so the number should be the other way around then?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't do the math on the numbers
Yes,
on the table.
that is correct.
Okay, so it's just like a typo.
Yes.
Okay,
Just
sorry.
needs to be-
I was just like reading it going, am I reading it wrong?
All right.
I was like-
No, that's a good catch. Thank you.
Okay. That was my only question. I just wanted to check for my understanding, so thank
Okay.
you.
Oh, that was easy. Okay. All right. Thank
It
you.
wasn't for me when I read it, 'cause I'm like, wait.
All right. Any other questions? All right.
Any other questions?
No.
On the key performance indicators?
Yeah.
None? That's it?
All right. Thank you for catching
Thank
that.
you. That was easy.
Good report. Yeah.
San Bernardino Valley College Academic Senate.
All right. Am I on? Yes. Fabulous. Now, the trick is to read this report at an angle and still maintain eye contact. So, good evening, and it is now officially evening. I can say that. I came in at 4 o'clock saying that. So, greetings, everybody. Thank you for the opportunity to share with you again tonight happenings from faculty perspective from San Bernardino Valley College. So I'm going to be really honest. I received the feedback about maybe looking at a template format for reporting. One, I want to recognize, thank you for the inquiry. Thank you for providing some insight as to maybe some of the things you want to hear from us. It's something I've been kind of looking for, and I really appreciate that guidance. The flip side is I'm doing this for the first time from a template perspective, and it may not seem as natural to me, so please be patient with me. In terms of, and I recognize I won't always have something to respond to in each area, so that being said, I'm going to hold off on information in terms of policy and procedure and informing policy and procedure at this point. There are some things in the back of my head, but I'm going to hold on and get more affirmative stuff to share with you at the future. So what I wanted to focus on is the actions and updates related to the goals. The one goal tonight would be the diverse and equitable, inclusive and anti-racism institution. And so I highlighted a few things where we are doing work directly related to that goal. So we are participating in a review of the campus mission and vision statements of the district, as well as at San Bernardino Valley College in a variety of ways. For the district mission and vision, we participated in the session held with the consultant group and the Chancellor's Council. And for San Bernardino Valley College, Senate has disseminated the statements for review and is working very closely with Program Review, Office of Institutional Research and Effectiveness, and other entities to ensure faculty voice is represented. Did I say that right? I think I did. Senate is certainly an avenue for communication and engagement that we are taking very seriously and will continue to utilize as a pathway for faculty input and collegial conversation. What we will ask for and seek support for is that the mission and vision statements, plural, both, reflect equity and access explicitly, not implicitly. Our students, our faculty, and our staff should not try to understand what we're trying to say. If we are truly going to be anti-racist and truly be diverse and inclusive, there's nothing wrong with just saying that and making it known up front. And I think my voice has reflected that in my interactions and conversations in these spaces, and I will continue to do so. And also looking for support and just continued expectation that the development of these statements, as we work through them, that we do them through the lens of equity first and foremost. Not an afterthought, not a secondary, but it's the first lens that we should use, and other things will fall in line. The work related to equity, diversity, and anti-racism began long before this academic year and has been at the forefront of all that we do for the past several years. However, we're at a time right now where there's such great opportunity to strengthen that commitment to our students, faculty, and our staff, and to stand out as a diverse, inclusive, and anti-racism institution. One of those opportunities is through the revisioning of the mission and vision statements, as well as our student equity plan. I recognize that that is not primarily academics and its responsibility, but the approach that is being taken this year, the directive that's being given by the Chancellor's office this year, as we move into that planning process, I am excited to see the involvement and the expectation of involvement from faculty, the representation of the voice of faculty, and by Senate. And so that's an active process that just started, and I spent a lot of time this week in meetings and at an institute where they're laying the groundwork for that. And we really look forward to that collegial process. I'm sure and confident that it will result in a plan focused on racial equity for our students, as well as our faculty and staff. Again, students first, but if we address that, the other things come along as well. The report in this area would not be complete without recognizing and honoring the work that is required behind these goals and the load that faculty and staff are taking on to make it happen. we would ask the board to continue to be supportive of our workload, recognizing the workload we're taking on, and we look forward to the support that you will provide as we bring changes forward in the future, because there are sure to be some to come, especially as we move forward with our educational master planning and our student equity planning. We are particularly sensitive to and looking at the load being asked of our faculty special interest groups, and I know you gave them a shout out tonight, and I appreciate that, but that is at the forefront of our mind in all of our conversations, that we're asking for input from our faculty groups and our special interest groups. And I want to make sure that we remain focused, that we are here to support them and their work as well. They're not here just to continue to lift us and continue to support us and add to their load. It's important, I think there's a balance to be found there. So that's at the forefront of conversation as well. So with that, I'll move into some noteworthy accomplishments and activities. I want to give a shout out to our own Kanisha Bufong, who is in our counseling area, works with our transfer center, but also with our Umoja. Did I say that right? I hope so. Program. She was recognized just this week, I believe it was, by the San Bernardino Unified School Districts. She's the founder of the National Black Grads, a nonprofit organization committed to strengthening communities with academic support services and financial resources for African American high school grads. And that organization has honored more than 3,500 graduates in the Inland Empire. So that is something really to be applauded, and I'm really excited that she's got that recognition. So go, Kanisha! Absolutely. And two more that I'll call out tonight, and then I'll end my report. The other is our amazing library faculty and staff. I don't know if I've said it in this space, but I'm really trying to recognize that. And I include staff in there. I know I'm from a faculty perspective, but it really is a partnership that they've come together, and they really they need to be recognized for the steady presence that they've been throughout our remote periods of time. I don't know if you know, but we got some pretty cool librarians on our campus, and if you want a good meal, go to the library. There's food all the time. So anyhow, just their steady presence throughout the remote periods. They really have been there, very present, ready and interactive with our student body. And they've also been very supportive of our faculty throughout this process as well. And they've really modeled an exemplary approach, in my opinion, from a distance education opinion, putting on a little different hat, an exemplary approach to online services. And it really, they have just done an amazing job. And one example is their responsiveness is in their recent creation of a LibGuide. That's a new term to me, but it's basically like a one-stop resource page that you can access that has all of these focused resource materials in one space. I hope I'm doing that justice. And they put one together for our Black History Month. Maria Norda-Angelo, I actually reached out to her just yesterday and said, hey, are we doing anything for Black History Month? And she said, I'm working on it right now. And today it was in our box and distributed out to faculty and staff, encouraging them to include that into Canvas shells as well as other spaces. So if you get an electronic copy of this template, I've put a link into the LibGuide if you'd like to take a look at that. It's really very nice. So. And last but not least, our Arts Lectures and Diversity Committee, which many of our faculty sit on and participate on, continue to be committed to their supporting of programs, again, through this virtual environment, sponsoring several events, and they have events for Black History Month as well. And one of them is happening this evening, and as soon as I'm done with my report and leave, I will be joining virtually. They are presenting Jazz in the Civil Rights Movement with a guest lecturer and jazz flutist, Galen Abdur Razak. I believe I'm saying that correctly. And so that's from 6 to 7 tonight. So they just continue to support that way. So thank you so much, and have a great evening.
Thank you. San Bernardino Valley College Classified Senate.
Hello, how are you? I'm here reporting for John Feist and Ernie. Ernie is handling the Black faculty event, and John is not here today. So they asked me to handle the report. I did get the template also, which actually, at first I was a little like, I don't really like this. But now that I look at it and fill it out, it's actually very helpful. So I will get right into it. For policy, I sit on the Inland Empire Labor Council, and so I wanted to thank Joseph Williams for coming out to the Labor Council on Saturday, where we had a candidate academy. We had basically, all the candidates in the room, and I think Casey's going to talk about that a little bit later for CSEA. We've been following very closely the state budget, so I was in the legislative committee today following that information, and I think we're going to be a little more present there to make sure that we're on top of that information and getting the same information that you're getting in real time. I also was really appreciative of the information about redistricting, because that has been something that I've been passionate and following closely since last year. It was on my radar. I spoke with Diana about it as president of Valley and tried to get involved as much as we could. And I really appreciated your comments, Mr. Longville, kind of the history of how the districts have changed. And that was very helpful for me as I try to grasp why they're making the changes that they're changing. Some of them don't make sense to the community, especially the grassroots community, and those of us classified staff that live in the area. So it helped explain a lot. For barriers to access, I really want to lift the words of the Chancellor in honoring Albert Gutierrez, and also several other folks that we've lost in the last couple months from the classified ranks. We've lost 4 folks. All of these folks happen to have been men, that work in a very classified, hands-on way. So custodians, HVAC, our painter, some retiree, Craig Ferguson from tech did a lot of our tech stuff. So these losses for many of us who've been here a long time, they're real, and these people represent the very best of us as classified. The folks who come when the campus is closed, who held it down while many of us were working from home, and they showed up at 6 o'clock in the morning every day to make sure the facilities were open, and often did way above the job. For all 4 of them, did way above the job to help many of us of our classified when we needed help. And the loss is real, and we feel it, and so I appreciate the acknowledging of that by this board, and we of course want to acknowledge that as a Senate. As we talk about barriers to access, the classified staff are the front line to access for students, right? We're the ones helping folks get it admitted in the admissions office, getting financial aid to be able to afford to come to school, keeping the facilities clean, keeping the doors open, keeping the facilities safe, All those things are being done by classified staff. And so we want to really, as we talk about access, talk about that we continue to see retaining and recruiting issues in having sufficient staff, especially returning to in-person, that we have the staff to actually do that. This is directly related to the comments about living rate wages that you heard under public comment, right? Folks don't want to work here if they can't afford to live here. And that's a big issue that you're going to continue to hear throughout my report. The second piece, equity and anti-racism. I sit on the DEIA task force for the district. I'm very pleased with the work from Christina and Asia, and we moved to a consensus model. I'm not sure if some of you heard about that. I didn't think that would happen in my lifetime. I've been working with consensus models for probably about 15 years, and I did not think that that would happen in this district within my lifetime. So I'm very pleased to see the equity work move in that direction, which is, of course, about lifting up the most underrepresented voices instead of the majority voice at the table, recognizing that the people who are left out are the most important people for us to lift and center. And that is the core of the equity work. COLA is an equity issue. And if you weren't aware of that, I want to make sure you know that today. The folks who are getting paid the least in this district also happen to be the most diverse. Our diversity statistics that we get for employees, a majority of those are coming from the classified staff, specifically those categories I mentioned, like custodial, maintenance, grounds, You know, a lot of our frontline workers that take care of the facilities are the diversity. So when we don't do right by them, we don't do right by equity. And it's important that we remember that. We want to be leaders in regional issues, and many of our classified are doing that. We have classified that are at the table regionally about the conversation of ethnic studies. We have classified at the table regionally about staff development and professional development training. We have people involved regionally around safety with Cal OSHA, making sure that we're getting the very top-notch best practices for the safety of our employees. We have lots of folks, including myself, who do an incredible amount of service to the community. When we're done working here, we still work for the community. And of course, environmental sustainability, environmental justice. You know, I was so happy to see the reports about sustainability and the moves we're making for some of the buildings and facilities, but we also still have not gotten the representation we asked for from Senate to creating those bodies at the local level on campus and making sure we get invited to the district meetings about sustainability. That still hasn't happened. And then fiscal accountability. We're listening closely to the state budget reports. We're watching closely when other groups receive COLA. When there's filling, creating, growing of management positions, and we're looking at the salary schedules, and we look and see how the salary schedules are reflected compared to classified to management. We see that the management salary schedule has grown exponentially. If you just look at the schedule, you'll see all these positions in ranges, you know, far beyond what we see in classified. That's a concern for us. Some of you have been students. Some of you have been staff. Some of you have been adjunct faculty and faculty. So I know you know the struggle of trying to make ends meet and working in the education system. So one of the signs that I have here that we were talking with folks outside has 2018 when we received our last COLA and 2022. The average cost of rent in California was $1,195. Today, it's $1,657. Like this? Okay. Is that better? I'll pass it around afterwards. Y'all can look at it. Gas, $3.28 a gallon in 2018. Today, one of our classified staff members paid $5.50 a gallon. He has the receipt. Electric bill, $102.50 per month. Today is $135, almost $136 per month. Our salary range, especially, this is specifically range 27, which is our custodial staff. So I'm talking about Albert, Gloria, the many custodial staff we have that go above and beyond the job. They get paid $19.88 per hour in 2018. They've had a $4 increase to 2020 to make $24.37 an hour. If I calculate that $24.37 an hour right now for a 40-hour work week, I take out my phone right now and I pull up what's called a rent calculator. You put the hourly wage in there and the year, and it'll tell you how much rent you can afford to pay in this region. I did my salary, it said I could pay $500 a month on what I make today as a secretary in the library who was on that list of celebrated employees that have been here 16 years. I can't find a place where I can get $800 of rent. I know you have a lot of things to consider, and it's clear when we hear the reports, you know, the weight that's on your shoulders. But our classified staff has not only the weight of working here, but to make ends meet for their families, to pay the rent, to pay the electricity, to get to work, to put food on the table, and it's getting crunched and crunched and crunched harder and harder and harder. Asking for COLA is not greed. And I've been hearing that rhetoric, and I want to be really clear that folks are not asking for more than they deserve. They're asking for what they deserve based on the work that they've done. So please support them. Thank you.
San Bernardino Valley College Associated Students. No one here? Okay. Crafton Hills Academic Senate.
June. Julie McKee, Sociology from CHC. Hi, Gloria. Hi, Kevin. You guys are so scary. Anyway, so I'm here. I'm here on behalf of Brandy Bayless for the Academic Senate. So I have a report that was written for me. Oh, I do want to thank Mike and Farah for their dedication. And Mike has been working so hard on that Ed Master Plan. He has done a fabulous, fabulous job. I'm taking this off. He has consulted with all of our groups on campus. Everyone has had their hands on that Ed Master Plan. So he is doing a phenomenal job. And for my thank you all for approving our mission, vision, value statements. And 2 years. Plan ahead. But thank you. Yes, we all worked for 2 years on that. So thank you for approving it. Okay, we appreciate the board's inclusion of AB 705 data and the continued support that the board's approval for non-instructional pay for academic employees shows towards our faculty's work on ensuring that AB 705 implementation is successful. We would appreciate seeing comments on the work of our AB 705 leads Lauren Bonds for English and Shirley Wan for math. We continue to encourage the district to include interviews with these leads regarding the work they are doing on the campus as a valuable way to humanize and bring context to AB 705. We are continuing the work of our guided pathways. Our guided pathways lead, Sheila Scott and Josh Robles, have done amazing work to connect our 2-year maps, which should be available in the coming weeks. Our Senate and faculty lead committees are remaining focused on the work of supporting students during remote instruction and integration of anti-racist practices into our curriculum and pedagogy. Our distance education lead, Cynthia Hamlet, is working with our academic senate to completely redesign our introduction to online teaching so that it reflects the lessons we have learned during this pandemic and the experiences that our students have shared with us over the past 2 years. Our Veterans Counselor, Lisa Mills, is bringing forward information on the Military Articulation Platform, or MAP, to ensure that our veterans are getting credit for prior learning for their service. As I'm sure many of you know, the faculty of Crafton Hills College donate to a fund to support scholarships for our 4.0 students. Thanks to outstanding support from our foundation, our funds have increased significantly, and our Academic Senate work group is now researching additional or alternative scholarships that we can build to support more of our students, not just focusing on our 4.0 students. Finally, we want to take a moment to thank our amazing staff for all the much-needed support they give us and our students every day. The end. Thank you.
Thank you. Crafton Hills College Classified Senate.
Hi, good evening, Board of Trustees. I did do the template, but I kind of had a speech beforehand, so I did kind of squeeze it in there, but next time I will make sure it's organized. I do want to thank all the classified staff at Crafton for everything that they've done, especially student services, our library, as well as the bookstore, especially with them being on campus during this time, as well as when we were remote from 2020 to 2021. Bless you. So I'm going to go ahead and jump in my speech. To say the times are tumultuous is a gross understatement. We're working through the pandemic, supporting loved ones and colleagues, trying to budget finances, time, and life have all been a struggle for every one of us. We have found comfort in those moments of stability and unity, but at this moment, we're faced with a severe division. As you may have guessed, I'm speaking out against the withholding of our 5% COLA and the possibility of withholding next year's COLA. To do so at the time shows an extreme disconnect with your employees. Unlike most that we have seen at the district level, our salaries are barely enough to combat this heavy inflation. That COLA would do wonders to help with just the basic needs that we have. You can look at the reports and the percentages that show where inflation is, but it doesn't really mean much. If I were to tell you that Aldi, a cheaper alternative for some grocery items, had a carton of eggs that were $1.41 last October, and now they're $2.39, what would that mean for you? That is where we're seeing inflation. Items that were once reasonable for our meals are now rising at an exponential rate, while our salaries remain. The whole point of COLA is in the name, cost of living adjustment. So why are we being denied our right with that adjustment? To hoard money for the distant future? If that were the case, why are we hiring six-figure salary positions when enrollment is down? But I digress. My intention here is to implore you to rethink this move and to have empathy during this tumultuous time, and to stand with CSEA, which can be surprising sometimes with Senate and CSEA, I understand, and to not put a further divide between the campuses and the district. This is not the action for division, but for unity. Thank you.
Crafton Hills College Associated Students.
Hello. Good evening, honorable trustees and chancellor. It's great to be here. Great to see everybody. I'm here to update you a little bit on what Crafton Hills College is doing in regards to our student body. I hope everyone's staying safe and healthy during this prolonged pandemic. Oh my goodness. Okay, so first off, I'm excited to mention that we finally decided a spring date and theme for our spring club rush. So hence the season, we decided on a spring days theme with the vibrant colors and the groovy thematics and whatnot. We plan to host that event on March 16th, which lands on a Wednesday. With the data received from research and planning, we agreed that Wednesdays attracted the most student traffic. So with that being said, we want to better advertise our spring club rush via email, social media, whatnot, to spread the word. Furthermore, we're working hard toward our student senate elections. So we need to have a board by May 15th, I believe, this year. So our plan to execute that procedure would be to first, we want to vote the first 2 weeks of April. We want to promote. And then we will be accepting all the applications all throughout April. And then we will finally vote in May and hopefully have our board by the 15th. And I want to actually touch base on what was spoken about earlier in regards to the Guided Pathways Institution. So we had two CHC representatives up here who were also part of the SBA, which were Sean and Angie. They're amazing. So they kind of just gave you a little vague idea. I want to touch base more on that. So with that being said, their overall initiative is to improve the student body experience. The student experience, as is all of our goal. But their initiative is empowering almost. They want to, essentially, we want to add it to the committee. We want to add the committee to the bylaws. And if that goes through, it'll be a huge change. Their essential duty would be to distribute some surveys throughout different departments of our school, which would be athletics, DSPS, honors, and so forth. Get feedback, and then with that, we would be able to kind of represent those voices that are either too shy to be heard or to speak up front like that. So we're hoping that that gets approved. We need to hold another meeting to finalize all that. And then lastly, I actually want to talk about our 15th annual African American Leadership Meeting that we have persistently contributed to as an SBA. So we're thinking of sending 6 students and 1 advisor to Sacramento on March 2nd through the 4th, I believe. And we would fully just pay for the room and board. And it's like a life-enriching experience. So with that being said, we hope to finalize those tweaks and whatnot as of the budget next week. So with that being said, that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chair.
Oh,
a question. Yeah. First, thank you for being here.
Oh, yeah.
If you get the Guided Pathways Committee or is a committee that you want to add
Yeah,
to the
we want
Senate?
to add that to the bylaws.
Who will you share the information that you all collect? You said focus groups and surveys. Who will you share the information with?
So from my knowledge, I believe that all the information that they will collect from the feedback from the students would go directly to the SBA. And then with the SBA, we will have our external affairs officer like myself, and we could bring forth attention to the trustees. Yeah. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. CSEA.
Hi again. I did want to thank you for allowing me to speak. I had yielded my time and you allowed me to speak again, and I didn't thank you for that. I do appreciate that acknowledgement. So I did want to start off by mentioning some of the things that Mary mentioned during her speech was that we had this is the Candidate Academy for the Inland Empire Labor Council. If you are interested in continuing to be a politician in this regard and you would like the endorsement of labor, we are hundreds of thousands strong in the Inland Empire. Please make sure that you reach out to the Inland Empire Labor Council and seek their endorsement, because otherwise, the way it works now is you must have our endorsement to get their endorsement. Okay, so I just wanted to make that clear. I think in the past, that group maybe just didn't ask for an endorsement. Now they make sure that they check with us for our endorsements. And I just want to thank you for being there and representing us. There were so many people in the room. I saw Connie Leyva. I saw Ted Alejandre. I saw so many people that Mary can tell me who they were. I don't know. They seem very important. They were all the local candidates for mayor, state, Senate, assembly, everybody. So I was surprised to only see Joseph there. We hope to see the rest of you guys. So I wanted to define COLA. Like, what is a cost of living adjustment? And so I looked through some definitions, and the best one I came up with that seemed to fit seemed to be the simplest explanation. A cost of living adjustment increase, a cost of living adjustment is a cost of living increase is defined as the periodic update to a person's compensation that is intended to offset a decline in purchasing power so that wages keep pace with inflation. That's it. As this sign here, I think, illustrates pretty well. You wanna bring that one up? You guys got it. It's there. You just gotta pass it on to us so that we can be rescued. It's really that simple. I don't know if you realize, you can stand up and stay if you want. Anybody can come and join me if you like. All right, if you like, yeah. So I asked people to come with me today. I asked people to come out because we had a negotiations meeting last week. And in that negotiations meeting last week, we were offered again, we were not given an offer for a cost of living adjustment. What we were told is they were waiting for an analysis. I pointed Jose, he's our finance guy. We're waiting for an analysis to determine where we're gonna be in 3 years. Well, I'll tell you what, a meteor could strike us in 3 years and we're all dead, right? In the meantime, we can't pay for gas, food, electricity, the things that we need to get by right now. And if you think that these people aren't gonna come and work their butts off to get those students in their seats and do everything possible to get this district back full students here, you don't know us. That's what we're here for. We'll do it. You guys direct us, we get the work done, and we will get those students in their seats. Other institutions, Moreno Valley, they're facing the same problems. They know that there's a fiscal cliff in 3 years. And yet they did not deny their staff a cost of living adjustment that by definition was handed from the state to you to give to us. Now, I know it's not legally required, but that's the definition. What is the purpose? And when I talk to staff who haven't seen a cost of living adjustment in 4 years, and then they just saw this classification study go by, and they didn't get a penny. And now they're paying 50% more for their gas, 30% more for their food, and electricity. Electricity's 6, gas is 30. This is life-changing. And I know that you spoke to this classification study that you guys paid $2.1 million out. We haven't seen it yet. It's still pending. We have staff who are working on that. They have 6 months to do it, and it's a big project. And in the meantime, December was one of the highest inflation rates we've ever seen. So as far as the staff that are sitting behind you are concerned, you're keeping what we need to survive. And not all of us need it. Maybe there's people like the way Mary came up here, she made me cry. I remember being in that situation. I don't know what I would do if I was in her situation. I do pretty well. I don't have any kids, I don't have a family, and still, I am scraping by. And I get paid pretty decently. And it's only in the last year that we've really seen this change so dramatically that we're here before you today to implore you. We'll get the work done. We'll get those students in their seats. Make it so that we can also live and we can pay our bills. And we can get to that point together. I don't know if there's anyone else behind me who would like to speak. And if they would, I would welcome it. But I did have, we have our representative from Moreno Valley here. His executive board, one of the members of the executive board wanted to be here but couldn't. So I wanted to express what she had to say. Her name is Elena Santa Cruz. She'd like to say that at community college, not only do we provide education opportunities to students in our community, but we also provide jobs. And as much as we pride ourselves in providing the best educational opportunities, we need to be just as dedicated to the commitment of offering high-quality jobs that can pay the bills. And anyone who has purchased milk, gas, or a burger in the last few months knows the cost of living is rising. This is not the time to hold back COLA. From the bottom of my heart, I implore you to please give us an offer. Give us an offer of COLA. Bring it to our negotiations team. Allow us to negotiate it. I would also ask that this board place this on the agenda next month so that we can have a more robust discussion about COLA, the upcoming budget, the kinds of issues that you see, and how we can help you get those students back in the seats. Thank you.
CTA.
Good evening, members of the board. It's nice to see everyone in person. Brandy Bayless has done a great job giving this SBCCD TA report, but I'm glad that I get to be here tonight as well. I received the template, but in true tenured faculty fashion, I decided I like my way better, and I'm just going to do what I want to do. So, anyway, it's a very short report. In our continuing effort, let me pick this up so I can see. In our continuing effort to stay engaged with our membership, SBCCD TA wrote and was successful in securing a number of small grants from the Community College Association. It's part of the NEA-CTA. And what we're going to do is we're going to hold a variety of member recruitment and engagement events over the rest of the semester. So next week we're going to have a virtual trivia event that's going to just, we'll log in, play trivia, have prizes. So it's just a way for us to kind of stay connected with our membership. And then next month we are going to have a night of pizza and drinks at the Escape Brewery in Redlands. And then we have just various informational opportunities throughout the rest of the semester. Negotiations has been successful in finishing up a few of the articles that we have had open. So we've carried over quite a few from last year. We've been working diligently to get those done. But next, we will also be addressing wages. So while we appreciate the need of the district to be fiscally conservative, we do have to advocate for faculty wages that are competitive, that keep pace with the cost of living, and reflect positively on the value that the district places on the work of the faculty for students and for the campuses. So that is all. That concludes my report. Have a good day.
Thank you. Police Officers Association.
Good evening. I'll cut straight to the chase. Your department has a staffing issue. You may know this, you may not. But if you look around the room, we have one officer, one sergeant, one unarmed security guard. I'm here specifically on overtime for detail. These 3 staff members are the only people in the entire district right now. We have no one at Crafton, we have no one at Valley. We have no one to defend the staff up there, no one to defend the staff over here. About 20 minutes away from Crafton, 10 minutes away from Valley if we're lucky because of traffic. I'd like to say this is a once in a time kind of achievement, or once in a while kind of problem, but it's not. We are frequently very short-staffed. I work night shift. I enjoy night shift, and that's great. But I work alone, covering both districts. I'm always 20 miles away from one of our buildings. We don't have the staffing. We're getting all these new nice buildings coming in, and that's fantastic. But the minute they're built, they'll be vandalized, they'll be burglarized, because we just can't cover it. We have mutual aid, which is very lucky. We have San Bernardino PD to assist us. We have the Ucaipa Sheriff to assist us. But that puts too much tension on our relationships with them. If we need them for every little thing, then eventually they're just not going to respond. We can't use all of their resources without providing reciprocation. And we can't reciprocate. Why not hire more officers? We try, and we do. We have 2 people right now, I think, going through backgrounds. We have 1 substitute officer. We had 2 substitute officers. 1 failed out of training. If both those officers get through a background, which is between 2 and 6 months, maybe we'll have another officer, maybe we'll have another 2 officers. But our background process is 2 interviews, a lie detector test, a psychological test, medical test, and a very in-depth background investigation spanning 10 years worth of work employment and a bunch of other important things, because it's important for us to get quality candidates. We're also in a bind because, as you might all know, we're kind of in the middle of the Great Resignation. Right? A lot of people quitting their jobs because a lot of people are hiring, both in the public sector and the private sector. For police, it's almost extra hard because with political and social pressures, police officers aren't necessarily a job people want to be anymore. We're competing with every other agency in the area who are offering, some of them offering $30,000 bonuses just to hire on. Our contract is not competitive. We've been in negotiations for 2 years. I think I've seen grass grow faster. We can't compete with these other agencies trying to get quality people in here to do our jobs. And as such, it's hurting. Our chief of police, he gets paid, obviously the most because he's the chief. He's a great guy. I get paid the second most, and I've been here 3 years, and I'm not a sergeant, I'm not a supervisor, and that's all overtime. I worked 1,000 comp hours last year, and the year before that. Every holiday, most weekends. I like the money, sure, but I like my family. I just got married, I'm trying to settle down, and I'm here all the time. So please help us expedite this process. Please help us get more officers in. And please just give us some kind of relief. For every 2 officers we get, we lose 1 to burnout. And it's unfortunate, but it's happening. On a slightly related note, with the CSEA and the COLA adjustments, rent is going up. I pay $1,900 a month for rent, and they raise it every month. I know at least one district employee who got evicted from their apartment Not because they couldn't pay, but because that apartment complex now wants to renovate and raise the rates. So they kicked that person out so they could do that. And that's not the only apartment complex doing that. Housing prices have gone up at least 25%. I've been in the market for that, and I'm priced out. Even making the second most in this department, I'm priced out. Gas has gone up, like they've said. Food has gone up. Everything is it's ridiculous. So we hope you guys can provide that security to your employees, to us, to the officers, and to everyone we have. So BOA stands with the CSEA, and we hope you guys can help us. Thank you.
San Bernardino Valley College President.
Well, good evening. Chair Harrison, Chancellor Rodriguez, members of the board, and campus community. First, I just wanted to say thank you, Chancellor Rodriguez, for your comments earlier regarding Albert, as well as your ability and willingness to come to Valley College to listen to our staff as the college is in mourning around some of the losses that we've recently seen. I think that display shows a sense of family that the college has for each other, and the way you've been able to support everyone on campus is much appreciated. So I just wanted to say that to begin my report. I also would like to uplift our Senate President, Davina, your comments about Kenesha Buffon, who's being celebrated during Black History Month for her work around Black grad. It just highlights the excellence we have in our district, the work that is being done, and what a time to do it. So I also wanted to make sure that was restated, because it is a time to celebrate that wonderful accomplishment and the work and the excellence of our folks that we have on campus. 1 month ago, tomorrow, we had opening day. And believe it or not, it'll be a month since we kicked off the semester. And at Valley, we highlighted our alumni. We had 3 successful alumni who were our speakers during our presentation. And they really spoke to how the college had such an impact on their life. And I think it reminded all of us the work that we do and how we have this important connection. And when we hear it from the people who've come through the doors, I think it really reinforces the work that we're doing and why we're doing it. It's to help those prospective students. And the goal is that they come back and share their stories about the successes that they've had. And these 3 did an excellent job of doing that. And I think it was a great way to start our semester. We had our welcome tables out. We served over 500 students. As we transitioned back to a remote space, we did have our staff out there to make sure that wayfinding was appropriate. The Zoom logins were pointed to. So it was really a great team effort, as we kind of started the spring semester. And I wanted to acknowledge the work of our campus community for that. Thank you, Farah, for the presentation and your team around Valley College projects. It's an exciting time as we look at our bond program. I drive in every day and I see this week the fence went up and the softball field work is occurring. Having softball back on campus for our women's sports is critically important, and to see that actually happening now, it is an exciting time for the college. The 95th gala was moved. It's April 1st. So our foundation is hosting our 95th anniversary, where alumni will be the highlight and Great Expectations will be the theme. And it's really to raise money to support our students. And we are on the way to having a successful event. So we look forward to hosting on April 1st for our 95th anniversary. Also, our financial aid department has been busy. Up to this day, up to today, we have 1,800 students receiving Pell Grants and at $1.7 million dispersed thus far. So that will continue throughout the semester. That's financial support for our students so that they can get the money they need to achieve the goals that they've set for themselves. Additionally, our foundation has received the third cycle of our finish line grant, so $150,000 that the foundation has secured in support of emergency aid for our students. And with that, I'll conclude my report. Thank you all. As was also stated, there's an event tonight for Black History Month. It's happening. There's also future events. So please check out your emails as those will come through as we celebrate Black History Month during February. Thank you.
Crafton Hills President.
Good evening, trustees. A few quick things to report on. It's been mentioned several times this evening about our enrollment situation. I want to assure the trustees that at Crafton Hills College, we're working on reshuffling some resources that are available to us through our Enhanced Marketing and Outreach, AB 19, and our Adult Education Forum. And at Crafton Hills College, we one of the holes we've had operationally has been in our outreach efforts and our programs because we've lacked the appropriate number of staff and personnel. And with this, we're looking to create a new team of people that will be focused on this exclusively. We have a couple positions in adult education that will be coming forward. A new position that the state is requiring both colleges to have is basic needs coordinator position that we'll be putting forward, and a couple different positions in outreach so we can focus our efforts on increasing dual enrollment and being more present in our service area to present all the opportunities that college has to offer. This is all related to Goal 1 around expanding student access and success. Another item related to Goal 1 that we're really pleased that there's ongoing work right now in creating open educational resource courses. Crafton has now completed 48 courses that are fully OER and have full implemented Canvas shells for implementation. And it's a great cost-effective way for students to take courses. Even though we have the Books Plus program right now, OER is another avenue of creating book cost-free courses by using open educational resources. Around Goal 3, about being a regional leader, I really want to compliment, and I think our students left already this evening, our students that working with the Guided Pathways Task Force and the Blue Foundation. One of the requirements of that grant is that they come and report to the Board of the Trustees, and they are the first in the Inland Empire to report to the Board of Trustees. So I'm very, very proud of them. We are excited to be coming out of our temporary remote situation. On March 4th, Crafton will be hosting a 5-college swim meet. It's going to be so great to have those athletes back on campus in full competition. And we have a couple of things that we're working on around Goal 4 to diversify revenue sources. It also relates to Goal 2 about advancing access to address DEIA. Is that our Office of Instruction and Academic Senate in our math department is working on applying for a $100,000 grant through the State Chancellor's Office to address outcomes in the calculus pathway for our Latinx and African American students. We're really excited about that opportunity. Our it's our combination with our foundation and our Three Peaks group led by Mike Strong and a few others. We've created a new fundraising event that is going to be in October. Get ready for it. It's a 5K, October 15th. And just to remind you, there's a lot of hills at Crafton. So start your training right now. And that concludes my report.
Thank you so much. 5K. Do they have walking sticks for those of us who have balance?
We have golf carts for an additional donation that are available to anyone who would like to support the foundation.
Are there any, the next item on our information items. So at this point, if there's anything on that information item scheduled that would like to be pulled out for discussion? No? No. Okay, I'm getting a no. So let me read the items then for closed session. We will adjourn to closed session and we will be discussing the following. Conference with labor negotiators, Government Code 54957.6. Agency representatives Diana Z. Rodriguez and Christina Hannon. CSEA, CTA, POA, management/supervisors, and confidential employees. B, public employees discipline, dismissal, release, non-reemployment, Government Code 54957, 2 cases. Conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, Government Code 54956.9, D2, 1 case. Conference with legal counsel, existing litigation, Government Code 54956.9, E3 or D1, 1 case. Public Employees Performance Evaluation, Government Code Section 54957B1, and the title is Chancellor. At this time, I will ask for any public comments on closed session items, and I have not received anything for it. So we will recess and our public session, and we will convene to closed session. And trustees, let's take a 5 to 10 minute break, no more than that. All right, thank you. She already knows what we did. Okay.
Okay.
All right. I'm reconvening the public meeting, and we have a report of action in closed session, so if our clerk would read out the action.
Thank you. On February 10th, 2022, the board unanimously, with 6 board members voting and 1 absent, voted to terminate employee number 24796. That's my readout.
That's your readout. All right, thank you.
Adjournment?
And we, I
Second.
move for, yeah, we have a motion to adjourn, a second, and a unanimous vote. So we are adjourned until our next meeting, strategy session on February 24th at 4 o'clock in this boardroom.
All right.
Thank you all.